If you've got a pretty new Tesla Model 3, you might be thinking, man, I wish I could get one of those screens like the brand new versions coming out in 2024. Well, there's actually an aftermarket solution for this. The Hansshow H72 CarPlay screen. With this, you can do climate control, seat heaters, passenger seat control, music, wireless Android Auto and wireless Apple CarPlay, including AirPlay, play USB media. So find out what it's like, why I really love this, how to install it and more. G'day, my name is Chris and I cover all things electric from an Aussie perspective. If you're new here, subscribe because chances are I've got a video for you. This H72 screen by Hansshow has been sent out to me for review, but just know that the guys have no editorial control over what I say here. I've been paid to say it, and you, just by using the link below, can actually go to their store and save 20% on anything you want to buy. Doing so will actually give me a 5% commission, but you don't have to buy this, you can buy anything else over there because they've got a lot of great awesome stuff. Okay, with those little caveats out the way, let me step you through a quick unboxing because there's not a lot in this. Obviously you've got the screen, you've got a wiring harness, you've got a dead end plug, a prying tool, and that's pretty much it. The installation manual included in the box is very brief and I actually found YouTube videos to be better, so hang around if you want to see how to install this, because realistically it's a no harm installation, so you're not drilling any holes, you're just pulling panels and stuff off. You can reverse it if you want to actually change your car later on and keep it. And yeah, without filming it, it would probably take you 5, 10, even 15 minutes maximum. It's not that hard. So take it from someone who's got, like, you know, 2 left hands. Yeah, let's go with that. All right, so whenever there's no rear passengers back here, this screen will stay off. Or conversely, if I'm sitting here right now and nothing's been touched in a while, the screen will do this little screensaver with different shots of what appears to be Tesla Model Ys, maybe Model 3s, and a lunar sort of ultra realistic place. They're pretty, they're nice, and the resolution of that screen is like 1280 by 800, so it's pretty sharp and it's plenty bright enough. Stepping you through it, on your first screen where you've got a fan icon, that's for your aircon for the rear passengers. So unlike before where you'd have to ask the person up the front to, you know, turn the temperature down here or increase it, things like that, no, they can actually just do it here. So they tap on that icon, turns on, and now you'll be able to hear perhaps that the aircon's just ramped up slightly because it's actually now blowing air through the vents at the top and the bottom of this screen. I appreciate that the vents you've taken away with the other ones that were controllable, sure, they're not as big as this because you're actually putting a screen in place of it. So you can actually feel the air coming out here-ish, it comes up towards like your face, and it's going to be great for the person sitting in the center, but sitting here at the side, I'm not getting very much air whatsoever. Thankfully, it's not hitting my knees, which I think would be really annoying if you were in the center position, so it's serviceable, it's workable, and there's going to be a sacrifice for doing this screen. There are other options with Hansshow with other screens I have here for the Tesla Model 3 and Y, so check them out if this isn't for you. You can either press this button here that says auto, and doing so I now have full control of the fan speed back here, so I'll rank it up to 10 so I can then really tell you where that wind is, and it's getting quite noisy. It's definitely coming out at that 45-degree angle. So let's just get that back to auto because that's completely unnecessary. On the right hand side we've got the temperature control, so we can just slide that up and down and set the temperature back here, which is, I think, awesome. Now, little notes about what's happening down below here. You've got an ionizer. I don't really appreciate how that's working. Suppose it's going to trap any sort of dust and particles that are coming in through that vent and attract them to the sidewall, and that will mean you have to take this off maybe every, I don't know, 3-6 months and just give it a bit of a damp dust to get rid of that gunk. The keep doesn't work for back here, so whenever someone gets out and they haven't actually pressed keep cabin, you know, temperature on the front, it won't actually keep, so ignore that. Same too with pet and same too with camping. It does have over-the-air updates, so watch for a future update to actually address that little gap there. Next one over, and I think this is worth the price of entry alone, because if you're being a backseat passenger here, you know how frustrating it is that you have no control over your seat warmers. And my kids constantly asking, Dad, turn it down, or Dad, turn it off, or Dad, turn it on. It's annoying. And now they can do it themselves. And so just like at the front, a quick little tap of the screen, and I can even do the passenger one. It's yeah, completely controllable. If I want to turn them all off at once, I just press this close all button. But if I want just me, how many bits of bacon do we want today, folks? We're going to get 2. There you go. How awesome is that? So between the HVAC controls and the seat heater controls, great, yeah? But it gets one step better. Come over here to now the passenger seat controls. I've wired this to control only the passenger seat that's in front of me here. Now, if I actually in the back here, and let's say the last person to sit here had a seat far crazy back and I've got no knee room whatsoever, I can actually just press the button here, move the seat backwards and forwards, and that includes the upper portion of the seat as well. So now I can have all the space in the world and I need not ask someone who's actually in the front to do it for me, because maybe there's not even a passenger there, say. Or the reason I love this as well, because I'm cleaning this car so often, because I've written this out either through EV or Turo, links are below, save yourself some money. I'm constantly having to move these seats forwards, and there's no memory for these seats to actually, like we can program in for the passenger seat to say, I want this passenger seat to also move forward when the other one does. Now I can just do it back here and control it myself. Awesome! I'm so happy about this. So 3 great features, which I think for the price, I really do appreciate. All right, next up, you've got play controls, so back, play, pause, and forwards, as well as volume controls. Right now, we're actually not playing any music because I don't want to get a copyright strike, but I could just briefly play something, and that's as much as I dare do. Okay, and no matter what's being played at the front there, you can control it through the screen here. I think that's good if you're the rear passenger and the driver doesn't, or the people at the front don't mind. Could be a bit annoying, but love to see a lockout feature of that, but I don't know. I think people are generally respectful, unless they're feeling a bit naughty. Anywho, next one over, and this one's pretty exciting. You've got Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, both of which are wireless, as well as AirPlay. Now, I'll give you some caveats and things to do around AirPlay in a second, but all you simply do here to get Android Auto or Apple CarPlay going, you come over to your settings, Bluetooth settings, and then connect your phone to it. And then if it's like an iPhone or an Android phone, it will then screen mirror Android Auto, say, which is what I've got. So if you want to show your passengers where they are on the map, say, or play some music through there, which they can then connect to their headset through the cable there, they can then listen to that whilst you at the front have something else. Brilliant, right? Absolutely awesome. And if you want to do screen mirroring with AirPlay, you're going to have to create a hotspot on one device, and then on your second device connect to that same hotspot along with this by, again, just going through settings, network, join your hotspot that you've created with whatever device that might be, and ensure that obviously the screen as well as the phone that's going to be doing the screen mirroring is connecting to that same hotspot. Hope that makes sense. I'm Team Android, so I can't show it to you here. Behind the scenes, this is actually running Linux, so it's nice and fast and very simple. And one final feature is being able to play either music or videos from a USB drive. They include this little adapter so that you can plug in down to the USB sockets here. So let's just plug that in. The passengers back here can be watching movies or TV shows or listen to music that you've loaded onto that USB stick. They can enjoy something here whilst you're having something different at the front there. Great, perfect, yes. So I'll just play one of these movies for you here. I've found that it's got to be in MP4 format. I've tried .mov and it didn't actually work, so yeah, make sure you've got the right format, experiment with it. I've tried 4K files, it doesn't seem to work either, but realistically, if you're going to actually be displaying anything on this 1280 screen here, I would just go for like a 1080 sort of quality. The system does have an integrated speaker underneath here, and it's pretty small. It's okay volume wise, but it won't suffice realistically for the passengers back here unless it's like literally really close down to the screen itself. So I'd recommend getting yourself some headphones, plug it into the little 3.5mm jack down the bottom here, and if you need 2 people to listen at the same time, you can get one of these dividers and just use one of those so that 2 people can be listening to things at the same time. Speaking of the connections down beneath here, I should note that the left-hand USB-C socket is only going to give you 5 volts, 1 amp, so it's pretty slow at charging, whereas the other side with that icon, I think will give you higher voltage and amperage, so it's going to charge whatever device you connect to it faster. So again, you're losing out the vents here and where you're getting diffuse air, and instead of in the typical Tesla Model 3 and Y, where you get 2 USB sockets, this is reducing it down to, let's say, 1.5 or 2 really, but one's going to be really slow, and it's only going to charge your device if you keep that screen off. Just remember that. All right, let's step out of this video now, and we'll go back to home, and you can see how fast everything is. So let me just tap through the different things. So there's fan, seat warmers, move the seat, music, Apple CarPlay, and then the USB media stuff. On the top here, pressing the home icon obviously gets you back. If whatever you might be in, if you press on the back icon, it's going to step you back one thing. The baby icon actually doesn't really do anything. It will tell you that the child lock is opened, but it doesn't matter what is happening through the front screen there. It doesn't affect it here, like it can't be disabled. Oh, and to tell you one thing that definitely does worry me here, see this icon here on the seat control for the passenger? If I tap on that, that's gonna open the glove compartment, which I've got a pin to open that glove box, and yeah, that's a bit of a worry. So if you've got something valuable in there, people can actually just open it through this screen here. So again, I'd like to see an over the update to address that issue. And then finally, we've got a screen off icon, and to get it back on, just tap on the screen and it comes back on. You've got a shortcut button for screen brightness, and under settings you've got English or Chinese, screen brightness again, volume for that little tiny speaker, automatic theme mode. So if you have your setting on your car as automatic for the screen to be either white during the daytime and black during the nighttime, this will replicate that. Otherwise you can override it and push it into light mode permanently or into dark mode, which looks like this. Vehicle model is left rudder or right rudder, better put left-hand drive or right-hand drive. So when I first installed it, it was on left rudder, which meant the American side. So the passive control was reversed and the seat position on the screen was reversed. And just by selecting right rudder, or in other words right-hand drive, it fixed up that issue straight away. And then finally, temperature unit, Celsius or Fahrenheit. Under system settings, you can pair your phone. Network is where you're going to do Wi-Fi, and that's it. Pretty impressive. And if you hung around to now, thanks so much, really do appreciate it. Remember to use the code ECHRIS and you're going to save yourself 20% at whatever you want on the Hansshow website. Let's now get into the installation, and yeah, I'll teach you some things that I learned installing this product.
Okay, before we get into this, know that this is absolutely a non-destructive install method. Whatever you do here can be undone. So knowing that, using the prying tool, I worked my way around the edges of this, and I could have probably just pulled it directly sort of up and out diagonally. And when doing so, just be careful because there is a cable that powers the USB sockets on this vent piece. So just disconnect that and your first step is done. The next step is removing the lower cover, and this comes out quite easily. And again, a little bit of force is required, but you'll get there. Now, the next step I'm going to call optional, because if you're the sort of person who's comfortable pulling cables through, I would definitely not do it. But if, let's say, you're not very comfy doing it, then definitely do this. Undo the 2 screws that are sitting above the connector, and then starting at the bottom, pull the cover out towards you and slightly upwards, and it will eventually come out. Knowing there's at least 3, if not 4 contacts each side, so it's really hard to get this piece out. Unclip this blue harness and you're halfway there. I'm going to sound very dumb here, but there's not a lot of labeling going on as to what connects with what. And well, it turns out that realistically, you've either got a male or female connection. So this rather complicated looking harness is only inserted one way and you can't stuff it up. Starting off with the male end, insert this into the female end as seen here. Then connect the female end into the other piece. For the Model Y, there's a dead head plug, so just insert it and that's done. we're going to plug in that new harness cable to this little tiny white connector on the back of the H72 screen. Okay, now for what I think is going to be the hardest piece, and this is controlling the passenger seat. And ideally, what you'd like to have is what I call spaghetti, and it's going to help you tunnel through the cable from the harness to the passenger seat wiring harness. I found it was easiest starting from the passenger side door and feeding through the yellow tongue underneath the rails where the carpet is joining, and you'll find there's actually some space there that will allow you to pass the yellow tongue through. Here's one of the labels that tells you what does what and what connects to what, because there's actually two cables, one for the driver's seat and one for the passenger seat. Apologies if this angle doesn't help you, but know that nonetheless you want to go for the connection that is closest towards the passenger door. Once you've connected it, ensure there's enough give in the cable so that when you move the seat forwards or backwards, so that it doesn't break the cord. I kid you not in saying that it took me more than 20 minutes to get this cover back on with the cables safely nested behind it. But when I did so, then it was just a simple case of reversing the process that you had done before. So after the centerpiece was in, then you do the lower piece, and then you finally finish off with the screen and you're done.
What I really like about this system is that it looks like it's part of a Tesla. Like, you know, the new Tesla Model 3, the S and the X if you live in America. This is the same, which I think is brilliant because it really feels like something that's going to be coming maybe to the updated Tesla Model Y in the future. Who knows when that's going to be. And yeah, so you can get it now by just going to Hansshow and getting yourself one of these screens. The fit and finish is brilliant. It comes in either this matte, which absolutely matches the interior of the car, or conversely, if you like the sporty look, you could go for this version, which is not so much to my taste, let's face it. Things I like to see improve with this is obviously Bluetooth support for headphones, removal of the child lock icon because it essentially does nothing, removing the glove box unlock because let's face it, you can actually, well, you've got to be reaching over to get into it there, and right now it's a vulnerability that it overrides the PIN code that's set on that front screen. So either enable the PIN code back here as well or just get rid of it. Otherwise, I think it's a great product, and again, thanks to Hansshow for sending this out for me to review, and they had no editorial control. I'm not getting paid to say this. And yeah, use eChris to save 20% on this or anything else you want from the store. All right. If you enjoyed this content, I really do appreciate it if you could subscribe. It absolutely helps out the channel. You want to see behind the scenes content, exclusive news, polls and stuff you don't get here, consider Patreon support. Otherwise, if you know me and love my coffee, think about donating through Ko-fi. And otherwise, you be good and you be green.